When you picture one of the world's most famous buildings, what comes to mind? Probably stone, right? Maybe steel and glass? Well, the icon we're going to talk about today is made of something, well, a lot more humble. It's made of mud. And trust me, this is no ordinary building.
So, this is the Great Mosque of Djenné in Mali, and its story isn't just about architecture. Oh no, it's this incredible saga of total destruction, a really controversial rebirth, and, get this, a structure that is literally brought back to life every single year by an entire town working together. To really get this place, you have to understand that it's lived three completely distinct lives. It's this amazing cycle of creation, then destruction, and then recreation that stretches across nearly 800 years.
Okay, so this timeline really lays out the drama. The first Great Mosque, that goes way back to the 13th century. It stood for hundreds of years. But then, a fundamentalist ruler named Sekou Amadou took over in the 1820s. He just let it fall into ruin and built his own, much more basic version nearby. Then, fast forward to 1907, and the French colonial administration steps in and oversees the rebuilding of the Grand Mosque right on its original spot. And that's the building we see today.
You know, we even have this stunning first-hand account from 1828. A French explorer, René Caillet, shows up and finds the original mosque just decaying. His description, it paints such a vivid picture. You can almost see it. This magnificent structure, just abandoned and totally reclaimed by thousands of birds.
And here you go, here's the visual proof. These images are just haunting, showing what was left of that first incredible mosque. Sekou Amadou, he really disapproved of how fancy it was, so he just let it melt back into the earth. I mean, it got so bad that people started using the inside as a cemetery.
And this was his replacement. Built between 1834 and 1836, the second mosque was purposefully plain. You know, a big, low building, no soaring towers, no fancy decorations. It was a direct reflection of his much stricter beliefs. Which brings us to the third and final version, the one finished in 1907. It was built right on the ruins of the first one, bringing back that grand Sudano-Sahelian style. But yeah, its creation was definitely not without some controversy, which is a whole fascinating story in itself.
So all that history brings us to the building itself and how it's made. I mean, how exactly do you build a masterpiece out of mud that can survive a brutal rainy season year after year?
Well, it all starts with something called fadare. These are basically sun-baked mud bricks, and they're the fundamental building block of the whole mosque. They're held together with a mortar made of sand and earth and then coated with a plaster that gives the building its famous sculpted look.
But the feature that everyone recognizes, the most distinctive part, has to be the toron. See these bundles of palm sticks? They jut out all over the walls, and they might look decorative, but their main purpose is just pure genius. And here it is, the genius of it all. The tartans aren't just for show, they are literally built-in scaffolding. They give workers all the handholds and footholds they need to replaster the entire building every year. It's just an incredibly clever and practical design solution. Now, let's get back to that controversy. When the mosque was rebuilt in 1907, not everyone loved it. There was this one French journalist, Félix Dubois, who was just horrified. He blamed the French colonial leaders for what he thought was this bizarre European-influenced design. But a lot of other people argue the complete opposite, that it's a basically African creation, built by the local guild of masons using traditional methods, and that the French had very little to do with it at all.
And that whole debate about its origins really leads us to the heart and soul of the mosque today, this annual festival that keeps it standing, an event they call the Great Plastering.
See, because it's made of mud, the mosque is pretty vulnerable. Every year, the super intense sun and then the seasonal rains, they cause cracks and erosion. So right before the rains hit, the entire community of Djenné, I mean every man, woman, and child, comes together to give the mosque a brand new skin.
And it's this incredibly organized ritual. Young boys help mix the plaster just by playing in it. Then a race kicks the whole thing off to see which neighborhood can deliver the first batch. After that, the men climb up the toron scaffolding to slap on the new plaster, while the women and girls carry all the water needed for the mix. It's truly a symphony of community effort.
And this is why it's so important. The mosque isn't some old museum piece. It's the living, breathing heart of the city. You can see it here, overlooking the bustling weekly market, just this constant, watchful presence in the daily lives of the people of Djenné.
So, what is the legacy of this incredible structure? And, what does its future look like in our modern world?
Well, its significance is just undeniable. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site, it's one of Africa's most famous landmarks, and it's a national symbol for Mali. And historically, it was a major center for Islamic scholarship, drawing in students from all over the continent.
What's absolutely crucial is that the community has actively chosen to protect this heritage. I mean, while other historic mosques have been modernized with things like electricity and tile, the people of Djenné have resisted all that, all to preserve the building's structural and historical integrity.
And so it stands today, not just as this magnificent piece of architecture, but as a really powerful testament to the strength of tradition and the profound power of a community working together as one.
Which kind of leaves us with a final thought, right? In our world of skyscrapers and super advanced materials, what can we really learn from a global icon that's held together year after year by nothing more than mud, wood, and the collective will of its people?